Surprise, it's us.
Surprise! If you've just been sitting on Facebook since like 10 o'clock wondering where are they and waiting, here we are.
9 o'clock. Yeah, yeah. Or 10
Special
o'clock,
9,
yeah.
yeah, which where you don't believe in time.
It is an illusion after all. It's
Yes,
fluid. We're on, yeah.
we're an archetypal time. So it's 4:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Sunday, March
Something's,
16th, 2025.
oh yes.
Yes,
Right.
and we were delayed today because I went and picked our son up from his first solo flight.
Yeah,
Picked him up at the Logan Airport last night.
yeah.
Yeah, so we weren't able to do that this morning.
Hmm.
So here we are.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we left it open, like to see
yeah,
maybe we would do something. I posted
yeah,
that we weren't going to be on this morning, and
yeah.
so. But anyway,
But here we
here we
are.
are.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I'm wearing my glasses. I feel very vulnerable. I'm just feel like I'm in my pajamas, and
Mm,
it's very, it's very vulnerable. But I'm here, and my eyes were really hurting, and so I didn't
mm,
want my eyes to be hurting. So anyway,
yeah.
just want to say I feel shy and vulnerable, but
How come?
I don't know. It's like
Mm,
a when I'm wearing my glasses, especially since I broke my pelvis like a couple years ago. My
mm,
glasses broke, and there's a scratch on them. There's something about my glasses being like. Then I fell again, and they broke more, and I had like a
mm-hmm.
big thing and was bleeding all over the place, and so was able to like glue them, and I just feel like I don't know, just
Yeah.
feel I don't know why. So what do you it's like when I'm running. I want to protect I don't like it when people say I saw you running because I feel it feels connected. Though that for me is like I'm in such a deep play. Forgive me. I'm like, but when I run, I'm like, it's very much like a part of my spiritual practice. And like, I'm really in this internal, thing. And it feels very vulnerable. So when people will say, like, oh, I saw you, or I see you, and
Mm.
I want to say, like, no. No, no, you didn't see me. Like, because it's just too
It's
excruciating.
so I love.
Um,
There's something about this that I'm like loving.
so it's
Like,
just, yeah, it's just, I mean, I have a similar thing with just people coming over to where I live, because
mm-hmm.
it's like these places where I guess I feel not so much my glasses, but like the running and the wherever I live. I mean, particularly in my old apartment and stuff. It really felt so sacred to me. Like I just love that.
Mm-hmm.
I loved it. Like it felt like I don't know. I felt like I bared myself or something in just how it was there,
Right.
so it was very revealing, so if
Mm.
people were to come in, I felt very naked. Like I was like I had
Yeah.
a dream about it, actually,
Uh-huh.
like I don't know, two sessions ago or something, where actually anyway, um I'll say the dream because it is
Cool.
relevant. It's actually kind of the dream was saying the opposite, but showing how I've grown away from this or whatever. But in the dream, there was a woman and she was going through my bookshelves.
Mm-hmm.
And at first, I was like I started for a second, I was like having a reaction. Like, I was like, those are my books. Like, what are you
Mm-hmm.
doing? Who would you, like really pulling all of
Mm-hmm.
my books out. And I had two layers of books, like too deep, whatever. And this woman was like taking them all out. And I was like, and then I just stopped and I was like, oh my god, this is so great, just fucking take all my books, like I
In the
don't fucking care.
dream.
Yeah, I was like,
Oh.
I do not care, like at all. Like I was like, wow, this is doesn't mean anything, like this
Mm.
is like I did have this awareness of bookshelves being like books show, I feel, some process and some pathology, it's so like virtue signally, like I have these books, everyone here are my books.
It's so funny because in my office, like therapist office, usually like
There are
there are
therapy
lots of
books,
books, and
or like
I don't have any
yeah,
books, and
yeah,
it's just funny.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, so I for sure used to hold a lot of awareness about what books I had,
Mm-hmm.
and I would hang on to books because
Mm-hmm.
they looked good and they would help people understand who I am and all,
Mm-hmm.
and I would hide the books that were like I felt didn't,
Mm-hmm.
convey my persona, which we've
Mm-hmm.
talked about on, on this, which is like, the Hello Kitty like cheerleader, I am this certain thing, or like I am whatever
What
I'm
books did
trying
you? What
to.
can you think of a book that you had?
All the young adult books that I love,
Uh-huh.
or like, uh, uh, what's it called? Like best-selling books,
Uh-huh.
like popular books.
Right.
Oh no, gotta hide the popular books because I don't want anyone to see that I like anything that other people like
It's
because I have
so.
to be so
It's so.
special.
It, interesting. Was that your whole dream?
Um,
I just have like lots of things, tingles,
well, that
lighting up
was,
in my brain.
yeah. I mean, that was the dream. Is that I was
Oh.
just like, I don't know. And then when I really, then I, to just spend time there, there's a lot there for me,
Mm-hmm.
just in terms of feeling how different I feel now and how I felt then, and
Mm-hmm.
connecting it to the other dream that I've shared here with the kids. Taking again, I had these special things,
Mm-hmm.
and I was
Right.
giving them the special things away, and
Right.
that was even more intense because they were like very special things, and
Mm.
that's connected to my old apartment
Uh-huh.
on Baird Street, where I like had these little altars of special things everywhere,
Mm-hmm.
and this is like my Belize altar with all the
Mm-hmm.
Belize, and these shells are only from Belize, and I
Mm-hmm.
like would separate them. These are the stones that I from the beach when
Mm-hmm.
you and I went to the beach when I was pregnant with Wake, and I stood on the rocks and I just
Mm-hmm.
wept
Mm-hmm.
and just like stood and cried, and I collected, and I have a jar of those rocks from that moment,
Mm-hmm.
and so I have like all these things that mean these things and stand for
Right.
these things and remind me of these things. That's so funny. This is because this is so connected to what else has been coming up for me today, which I didn't make the connection until just now. But yeah, so in that case, the kids, the boy and girl, how much obvious can it be? We're taking these little dolls, of
Mm-hmm.
mine, and they were taking them away, and it was like in the dream, it felt amazing to like, and I can feel the same thing with the bookshelf. So, I'm kind of I'm showing my hand here, or
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, in what I shared as we're backtracking. What I'm showing to everyone, speaking of vulnerability, is the place in me that still is, I think, wanting to hang on, or like the fear, the place
Mm-hmm.
that is like, good, because when I say I'm vulnerable, part of the vulnerability is just like some sort of idea. It's like, oh well, everyone's gonna see my special things, or
Mm-hmm.
everyone's gonna. I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, it
Or
can still be
yeah.
vulnerable for me, but the story around it is like probably doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, I just the point is being like I associate like being in my pajamas and my glasses, which is funny because I have no beauty regimen. I don't wear makeup or anything, but I'm like, I
Mm-hmm.
feel very like unmasked.
Uh-huh.
I feel very like blah, like I'm not trying,
Uh-huh.
at all in any way. I'm just like, here's who I am. Like, this is
Mm-hmm.
it, like, and that's how I feel when I
Mm.
wear my glasses. It's just like, yep, this is.
There's so many things happening here right now. It just feels so sweet. Something like I don't. It's all brand new, so I'm not sure like where to go with it. But it's tied to my place also in my dream. But I was feeling like my experience of you talking about I've got my glasses on and I feel
Mm-hmm.
vulnerable was like not knowing that. I feel like if you've told that to me before,
Mm-hmm.
I apologize, like not
Mm-hmm.
knowing that. But then I started thinking about how like people wouldn't know, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
people wouldn't be like, "Oh, Amy's got her glasses," you
Mm-hmm.
know.
Yeah.
But it's so it feels like there's this place in us. I think this is probably universal. It's like being seen, like what it feels like to be seen
Mm-hmm.
in some way,
Mm-hmm.
because often people are not seeing what we think they're seeing,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
right? It's
Well,
like
yes,
and
very
so
often.
Yeah, and so it's just
Most
like
often,
it's
probably.
so fascinating to me because I also just been I've been thinking so much about attachment,
Mm.
which I often do, but just like deeper and deeper about how like just the essence of like spirituality and God and attachment, which to me feels more and more like on some level it's about being seen.
Mm.
Like that's
Yeah.
kind of all it is. Like there's
Yeah.
safety
Yeah.
and basic needs getting met, but
Mm.
there's something about that place of being seen which turns into this thing of like persona and vulnerability. Like
Mm.
it feels like it's sort of the crux where everything turns right now for
Mm.
me.
Mm.
It's like uh, we want to be seen and we don't want to be seen,
Mm-hmm.
and
Yeah.
it's such a yin yang thing. I don't know if that's the right. It's such a
It's a par.
paradoxical
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it's interesting because I had this dream that I think I've talked about. I'm pretty sure I have about being on my father's chest and feeling like a little baby boy, 1 year old or something on my father's chest. I don't remember how deeply. Did I talk about this a
Mm-hmm.
bunch?
Mm-hmm.
Right. And so I just was kind of I was telling this dream to a bunch of different folks. So I've sort of like this as I tell it again and again, like the story becomes like more clear and visceral and like honed. And I was talking to a friend of ours who also is in the dream work a long while ago because I was like I had this dream. I like left her a message because I wanted to like tell her, which was like I had this dream of being a little boy on my father's chest, which I never experienced. Like the profound
Mm.
thing. And I was talking about how I'm really feeling how there was this one moment, and I think I mentioned this, but I want to just talk about it again. There was like one moment of being seen by my dad, like one moment, which was he was coming back from an AA meeting, and I was home, and he came back and he had a friendly Sunday for me.
Mm-hmm.
And it's the only experience I have at all of my father thinking about me when I
Mm.
wasn't there.
Mm-hmm.
Like I have no other reference for that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
No other bit of I'm gonna do. It was like I never felt I'm gonna do something for my son. Like
Mm-hmm.
zero,
Mm-hmm.
zero. So that's like how profound it is then to be a 1 year old on his belly because the closest I ever got was that one night he brought me a Sunday. That's the
Mm-hmm.
closest I ever got to
Mm-hmm.
feeling loved and
Mm-hmm.
held and all that from my dad. But like that's the amazing thing is that like the secure attachment is in us.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a seed that's in us. And I was then thinking, I had some dreams since then. In one of the dreams, I see Wake, our son, and he's about one, like somewhere around the age of one. And he's sitting and he seems a little distraught. And now, just even as I'm saying it, and I think to myself how I must not have been paying attention. Like he's upset and I didn't know it. I feel bad. It's like
Mm-hmm.
something happened. I feel bad. Like I wasn't with him. So that
Mm-hmm.
I'm now like, whoa, that's like feels like electricity right there. And so I pick him up because I love him so much, and this is how I was a father. I never got picked up by my dad, but like I pick him up and he's got this kind of strange, like almost see-through, like raincoat plastic material on him, and I take that off and I put him on a bed in a room. And my place is to one of the places that I've been with a lot is to be on him.
Mm-hmm.
And it's gotten so like such a tangible experience it's I'm having this just really deep experience of it's now like a memory of something that I didn't have except for the dream, but it's not even the memory of the dream, it's now the experience of being in the dream that now feels so real, which I mentioned to you. I
Mm-hmm.
feel myself as Wake, but me as a boy on the bed that you and the bedroom that we
Mm-hmm.
had when Wake was a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I like feel myself in that room and I feel like the presence of my father or the father or the
Mm-hmm.
animus,
Mm-hmm.
not necessarily in the room. but he's around. Like we had a really
Mhm.
small apartment, and so
Mhm.
Wade could be
Mhm.
on the bed, and
Mhm.
and just feeling. I don't. This is another brand new feeling for me, which is like it's like this piece of attachment of like I'm just I feel so I don't know the word. I feel so safe. I just feel so present in myself,
Mm.
in myself.
Mm.
Like like dad animus is like just around and I'm just here on the bed. I don't
Mm.
need him.
Mm.
I just am here,
Mhm.
which is like there's the attachment of being held and then there's the attachment of sort of that being held like
Mm.
in the presence of.
Mhm. Mhm.
And it's like I feel the colors. Like we had a really bright room thanks to
Mhm.
you. We had
Mhm.
like I don't the
Mhm.
col it was like
Pink. It
pink.
was two different colors.
Yeah, it
Pink.
was
Yeah.
pink. Like there's just this radiance of that color for me on the bed, and I feel
Mhm.
um, like I have a pretty cool cover, like bed cover that's all these different colors. Like I just feel myself so small on the bed with all these colors,
Mhm.
and it's like something about being seen but not being seen. Like I just feel seen by myself.
Mhm.
Like there isn't the animus
Mhm.
there with me. He's over there, but like I am just fully in myself in this
Mhm.
radiance.
Mhm.
And there's something about being seen. Like you're saying, like, I don't want people to see me this way, or like, I want people to
Mhm.
see me this way, or
Mhm.
like,
Right. Right. Right.
you know what?
Exactly. Yeah.
I just am right now.
Mhm.
And it's kind of cool if people see me.
Mhm. Right. Yes. Yeah.
Like, I just am.
Yeah.
Oh, and hey, there's my friend.
Yeah.
Like, I happen
Right.
to be in this state
Right.
already.
Mhm.
And so instead of it being like, oh, I feel more regulated when I'm with this person, or this person
Mhm.
makes me uncomfortable.
Mhm.
It's like I'm just here and hi.
Mhm.
Like
Mhm.
it's kind of like that feels so kid-like. Like Wake
Mhm.
would do that. Like he'd be
Mhm.
playing and totally in his own world, and he'd look up, and I'd be looking, and he'd be like, "Oh, like
Mhm.
hi," and then he just
Mhm.
would go back to playing.
Mhm.
Like that's he's just in his place,
Mhm.
being seen.
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
There's just something that I'm just feeling something so exciting and brand new
Mm. Mhm.
about that and how again it's like the essence of attachment and how our wounding comes from not being seen
Mm.
and not being
Mhm.
cared for and then everything becomes a projection and
Mm.
we're seeing the horror of that right
Mhm.
now in terms of politics and all that.
Mhm. Right.
It's like I don't know, I'm feeling very maybe yeah, I don't want to say maybe it's this or that, but
Mhm.
it's like
Mhm. Yeah. I. Yeah. I. Now I'm like having the pings, but but yeah, as you're talking, I'm like feeling about you know feeling things about my especially very young childhood or whatever, and feeling and how I have that thing where I always felt so seen because I had this whole inner connection thing going on. Like I was having this inner experience, so I never doubted that I didn't know to doubt. It's the I didn't know to doubt
mm,
because I just didn't. I just felt really loved and
mm,
seen and like recognized by infinite love and stuff, and so I had that until I didn't have that, and then
mm-hmm,
when I didn't have that,
mm-hmm,
which is if you watch this, the 13-year-old girl who walked in and hung herself.
mm-hmm,
That was the end. I tried to
mm-hmm,
bridge 10 to 13. Like
mm-hmm.
10 was the beginning of the kind of downfall
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
after my grandma died, and then things in my outer life, and like we stopped going to Quaker meeting and we were going to this Presbyterian church, and it was like so traumatizing and so mad. I was like so angry, and like I can feel that anger in a lot of
Mm-hmm.
ways. Like or I don't know, I can remember that so well, like being in that church. And anyway, that was all part of it. And then and then I couldn't bear, I couldn't bear it anymore. I
Mm-hmm.
couldn't bear the pain, and and but then, and what also was happening was I was losing that. That's when I was losing myself. So I was like losing the tether to my soul,
Mm-hmm.
and my soul was like shrinking, shrinking, shrinking,
Mm-hmm.
protecting, protecting, protecting. And I was like, then all of a sudden it was like, wait, am I the seeing and the wanting to be seen was all of a sudden, it was like out here. I was
Mm-hmm.
like, oh, all of a sudden had this awareness that I didn't have before
Of being of
of
the
of
outside,
like, yes, yes,
like the
yes,
world is the
yes, yes,
reference
yes, and
point.
this is how I'm perceived, or like,
Yeah.
or like, are people looking at me weird, that sort of a thing,
Mm-hmm.
where instead of that, I'm just in myself thing, I'm just
Mm-hmm.
being, I'm just here, oh hi, that. And
Right.
so I'm feeling all that, like I'm feeling what that was for myself. And um I'm feeling also, yeah, just a lot of pain, a lot of pain
Mm.
about, um or a lot of awareness of how much pain there is, like how much pain human beings have, and
Mm-hmm.
what that can do. And and then a bunch of stuff about identity, which is like funny, but where is really coming up for me a lot,
Mm-hmm.
which is just like, not, I mean, not even who am I, but like basically like what's happening. This, that's my experience, is
Mm-hmm.
like I'm at the end of a round of, certain dream homework and working with these two dreams, and I'm about to have a new place, tomorrow, and what.
Because you have a session.
Yeah, and I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, I could, when I get to this place, I'm very often like a lot is happening, like where
Uh-huh.
and so what I've learned, because this is like, it's like my psyche is like on a cycle,
Mm-hmm.
because it's like
Mm-hmm.
clockwork. It's like a menstrual cycle, very similar. Like my
Mm-hmm.
body starts to like
Get ready.
get,
Or,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. um and what I learned is to just, like, first of all, recognize, okay, this is happening, remember, tomorrow you have a session, and like you're,
Mm-hmm.
and you, and so, okay, so just let it be, like, let
Mm-hmm.
whatever happen
Mm-hmm.
happen, let all this be here, and don't do it like, my mind is like, let's try to figure out what's happening,
Mm-hmm.
and let's talk about it inside your head,
Mm-hmm.
like, let's try to, figure that out, because it can be so uncomfortable. and
Mm-hmm.
i and so I'm really feeling like, I guess I'm advocating for, or encouraging, or celebrating, just not doing anything, like letting, not acting, when, because this is my trauma, and part of my trauma response is like, do.
Mm-hmm.
And we went to this amazing concert on Friday, and it was so amazing, and I cried so much, like, I couldn't stop crying immediately when they started
Mm-hmm.
singing. I was just like, it was just so extraordinary, and I'm still in some ways processing it. It was like so deep. And then yesterday I was like, I basically did nothing
Mm-hmm.
except for a little bit of laundry.
Mm-hmm.
But, and that is a huge thing for me, like, because
Mm-hmm.
my pathology, my protectors, my, my coping, or I have a thing where it's like this drive that tells me to do things,
Mm-hmm.
and I didn't. And that was a really big
Mm-hmm.
deal, and I was like, okay, I'm not gonna do anything, because I kind of, it doesn't feel right. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
can feel that that my wanting to do things is coming from this place of
Right.
wanting to not let this happen,
Right.
whatever's happening in me happen. So I'm gonna give space for this to happen, and then all these amazing things happened. So that's part of what I'm here to say, is like, when, if you can do that,
Mm-hmm.
like, not, give in to that, compulsion stuff, it's like really incredible, because
Mm-hmm.
I ended up watching this show, which can be another like checked out place, and it was so incredible. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I was just like, realizing all this stuff, and that's more of the identity stuff was coming up, and the bookshelf, and the
Mm-hmm.
like. I'm like, I don't even know, like high school. It was a show about these high school students, and I was like, I don't. I felt very trippy. Like I was like going in and out of like deep understanding, and connection with these characters, and then also like totally being feeling like I was like literally been dropped off,
Mm-hmm.
but via helicopter in the middle of some ocean somewhere
Uh-huh.
that I have, and I having no idea where I
Mm-hmm.
was. And so and that's such a, and that for me is like a gift, because I was able to stay really soft, it
Yeah.
just like I felt very pliable and like open and up for whatever any experience had for me,
Right.
which is like a real,
Receiving.
yes, receptive, yes, just like staying
Yeah.
in that receptive place, like the very tender, like open
Yeah.
wound, for me it's like
Y-
open wound
It's
place.
so you just struck another thing for me, which was I have spent a lot of time like in my journey and pursuit in this work of becoming the boy,
Mm.
of feeling the energy that the boy feels like, and it's always been okay. But now what do I like? Now what do I do? Like
Mm-hmm.
all the things I wanted to do when I finally wasn't depressed. Now what do I do? And it's so interesting because this is the first time on some level with this place that I am in on the bed where I'm like, what do I do? Like I don't do anything. Like it's really interesting because
Mm.
it reminds me also, it just again feels so deeply tied to how specific the dreams are. At the age of before one, you don't fucking do shit.
Well, the other thing is
Like, well, but it's like you just are
yeah,
like
yeah.
you're taking in all this
Mm-hmm.
stuff. Like I have a client who had a baby about 6 months ago, and it's it's like poop, poop, sleep,
Eat.
cry, eat, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
be awake. It's sort of just
Mm-hmm.
be awake,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a little bit how I'm feeling. I just feel like I'm on this bed. Like I was like, but what would Wake do on the bed, or what would I do on
Right.
the bed?
Right.
Like, where's the toy? I need to be, and I
Mm-hmm.
totally don't feel that way
Right.
right now.
Right, because that ability is gone. The ability, that awareness
Mm-hmm.
is not there. The
Mm-hmm.
awareness of what do I do
Mm-hmm.
doesn't exist when you're 1.5.
Right. Right.
So that idea of it is an idea of it, which is
Right.
coming from,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so it's so cool because now I have both, which is I have all the ideas of things I could do, but in that place, I'm just absorbing, receiving, and feeling like being on this bed with this beloved father figure energy around, and I'm just in the color. Like I'm literally in the colors. Like,
Mm.
and it just feels so good. It feels, and it's interesting because it feels somehow right now like a deeper, more open place than actually being on his chest, which you would think like, isn't that the final destination of like being held by the animus and
Mm.
safe and loved? And this one feels just there's a lot that I mean that's been a really special place for me to be, and I still can feel into it, but this feels like something I don't want to say post that because I think there are like go back and forth, but there's something. It feels like that moment like when because for a while it's like we just held him, right? We didn't really put him down very
Mm-hmm.
much.
Mm-hmm.
And this feels
Yeah.
like the putting him down time
Mm-hmm.
in some way that sort of
Mm-hmm.
feels like another place, like being instead of needing to be held all the time, being in my father's chest is
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, zingle,
Mm-hmm.
zingle.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, oh, there's a world out here.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just this
Mm.
beautiful cove to be in.
Mm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, like that's cool. It reminds me of the thing, which I don't know but I think everyone will know what I mean, but I don't know the exact thing. But I remember when the midwives were like, yeah, he only can see, literally like put your finger up to your eye, and
Mm-hmm.
that's how far
Mm-hmm.
he can see right now,
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, and then as he's growing, he
Yeah.
can see, his scope
Right.
is widening, and that's
Yeah.
reminds me of what you're saying in a way.
I just had this image of like talking to a baby, like, all right, can you see here? Nope. Move a little closer. Okay. Yeah, got it. Now I see your finger. Now I see the nipple. Yeah.
Well, that's what the nose is for,
Mm-hmm.
because like he was like baby bird, like he
Mm-hmm.
would like like hit his
Mm-hmm.
head, like, and be smelling to
Mm-hmm.
find the nipple, because that's
That's.
yeah, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it was really like, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
cool. Yeah. Yeah, I'm realizing again as we're talking, because I had three dream places this round, and one of the ones that I hadn't done a lot of work with, like,
Mm-hmm.
because was one where I'm in this water, and I there's this somehow I know, I think first I'm seeing it, and then I am it, but
Mm-hmm.
that, so, and it's like me in this water with this like tube that's in my back, that's like has blood, it looks like blood's coming through it,
Mm-hmm.
and from somewhere above the water, I don't really know, and I'm just like there, and I just feel like cozy, and I'm just kind of at the bottom of the, in the water, like at the floor, the ocean floor, and that's it. And really the feeling was, my I was like, it just feels like kind of womb like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't really have, I've never scuba dived, I've never,
Mm-hmm.
I don't have any experience of, but it was like I wasn't thinking at all, I just felt totally like I was getting everything that I needed, and I was just like nothing,
Mm-hmm.
like nothing.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, um yeah, I was, as I was talking the last time before you said what, I was like, oh, this feels like connected to that place
Mm-hmm.
where I'm like, I don't really know, but I want to be receptive. I don't want to get lost in the ideas or the story or the
Mm-hmm.
projection of, of
Mm-hmm.
fear of, and it's been interesting to this weekend, like, kind of observe. I feel like I've been really able to observe my thoughts
Mm-hmm.
and be like, but not become engaged.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
You're not blended.
yeah, I'm like, yeah, I'm not interested in
Yeah.
that. Mostly I'm like, yeah, like I'm not interested in like going down any of those roads.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I'm like, oh yeah, I can feel how I'm scared. Like
Mm-hmm.
there's some level of like fear and like incredible not knowing or whatever you want to say, but at the same
Mm-hmm.
time, I'm just like, I just want to be here. And then in being here, just like, I just feel like everything has hit me so hard, like so deeply, like where I'm just like, oh my, oh, it's like it just comes right in, boosh, like in slow motion. I'm just like,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, which is such a blessing.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, I feel very much like, yeah, here it is, right now, here it is, because I want to say, like, I feel like myself,
Mm-hmm.
but like, what the fuck is that? Like, who cares? Or that's what I'm saying that for myself.
Mm-hmm.
Is just like, here, oh, I'm gonna go out of it by, saying I feel like myself, and this is who I am.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what I'm aware of with the
Mm-hmm.
identity stuff, is like how anytime I get attached or try to, like, that tendency to want to be like, I am a dot dot dot, this
Mm-hmm.
is what I am, and what I do, and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
how, for me, how it doesn't matter at all what the answer to that is, or what
Mm-hmm.
those blanks, how those blanks are filled in, and it's so beside the point of anything. Like, I don't know, it's interesting.
Yeah.
Like right now I don't feel like I need to be anything or, need to do anything or be seen in a certain way. Um,
That's cool.
yeah.
That's how I feel right now.
Yeah.
I'm like blissed out.
Yeah. Yeah, and I do feel like what you said about the tension between I'm thinking of someone in particular who I really hope watches this. But I'm feeling like who can relate to this. But the tension of really the longing, the deep longing to be seen, which we're always seen by God as we know God, or infinite love, or the universe, or the fairies,
But maybe we're
the
looking.
dreams.
Maybe we're looking for that, and we're like so misguided because we expect it from others.
Well, of course, that's part of it.
Right.
Yeah,
I'm just feeling
not just
right.
misguided, but like we are suffering greatly because that can be a place of great suffering.
Well, right. I mean, but that's also like the misguided is like it's like we're so on the wrong path. So,
Yeah. But like wanting to be seen, but also not wanting to be seen in equal measure, because it's like it is for most people so terrifying, or whatever word
they
you want to use.
It's very rare that we, I think, know that place of really being held and seen.
Right.
Yeah.
It's really it's just an interesting one. It's the careful what you wish for, kind of thing, is like that saying, comes to mind, like, or it's like that Zen thing or whatever, where it's like, what's the thing of we'll see, or maybe so, or something, where it's like, oh, I'm so sorry you broke your leg, that's terrible, and like, and they'll say it's like, maybe so, or we'll see. And then because of the broken leg, the person doesn't have to go to the army and go to war, and then again it's like happening again and again and again, of like, oh, this thing happened, like that's so terrible, or like that's so this, but it's really that, it's like, oh, I really want to be seen, but then when I'm really seen, I am like, oh, this is so it's not what I thought. It's so uncomfortable, because I can't, it's out of my control, or whatever, like, yeah. And that's it's just so, I don't know, it's beautiful, that kind of a thing, because I think there's a lot that's like that, it's like, I want to fall in love, but then like actually falling in love and is like, turns out to not feel like we think it might feel, and it's
Oop, there's our low battery. I don't feel like I have any words right now. Is it okay if we stop?
If we're done? Stop. Yeah, I mean, sure. Okay. Yeah.
Cool.
Thanks, everybody.
Bye. Thanks for joining us once again. We'll be back soon.
Yeah, we welcome your questions, and comments, or reach out. In the messaging, with Oh Shit, or Amy Trafford, or Benjamin Newman, or
Venmo at Benjamin-Newman.
Venmo? People gonna Venmo you think?
Yeah.
Okay. I don't remember my venue, but
okay.
Or my venue, my Venmo, my venue, venue, the Venmo.
We'll see you next week.
Yeah, see you next Sunday.
Bye.
Bye.